Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadiraksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
Nityanandam, everyone.
Nityanandam, welcome.
Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, first let's complete for our delays of podcast. One, because we had some technical glitches, and we're getting used to this. We're figuring it out as we go. We had some really funny deletion of videos on accident happen, where we literally made a whole podcast and we accidentally deleted it. So anyways.
What to do? We're here now.
We're here now, and I'm glad that you guys are joining us. Thank you so much. If you are listening on our YouTube or on our podcast, our Podbean channel or Spotify, and hopefully iTunes soon. We're also having a tech glitch with that, but we're working on it. So coming soon to an iTunes near you. And now we are just really excited to be back on. Hopefully you guys are watching us on video. I think it's a little more engaging. If so, we're really excited, and hopefully very shortly we'll be able to take live questions. We're getting pretty close. We're getting close. It's growing to 1,000 subscribers, so we can start going live.
Meaning our YouTube channel. So we would like to be streaming live on our YouTube channel, and the only way that is possible is if there's 1,000 subscribers. So we're looking for that whopping 1,000 first people still.
So head over to the Anandas and subscribe.
Yes, and hit the bell icon so you'll get notified when we do go on our live stream.
Exactly.
With that being said, you want to jump into today's topic?
Yes,
which
I'm really
is
excited. The Yogic Diet.
The Yogic Diet.
The Yogic Diet. And I'm really excited for this, actually, because I was realizing even just the last few minutes that I think this is a really unclear zone for a lot of people, even for yogis and even for people in our Sangha, what it really means. What is the Yogic Diet? What is it specifically? What is it not? And what incorporates into it? And so I'm really excited to go into detail today with the knowledge that we have from our scriptures and from Ayurveda as well, and how that plays in to the Yogic Diet. And we're going to be explaining to you guys a lot of the concepts behind it, and why it is we eat what we eat, why we don't eat what we don't eat, and the qualities of the food behind it. So I think the really beautiful part of Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, the yogic path in general, is nothing is immoral, right or wrong. It's never from a basis of guilt that you're supposed to be acting. Mm-hmm. It's always about right context. It's always about understanding the qualities of your actions or the object you're consuming and what that effect that's going to have on you physically, mentally, spiritually. That's all. And so with that knowledge, you can make the right decisions. You can make the decisions aligned to what your goal is.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what you're saying, what your goal is. There's no blanket statement that this is the exact diet that you should be consuming. It's all varying on what your goal is. If somebody's goal is to put on weight, then they should be consuming foods in such a way to be putting on weight. And maybe this is muscle mass, maybe they're just a little bit too skinny, whatever the goal is, that is so important to keep in mind, especially in Ayurveda as well, and as well as the yogis that are wanting to build the body through whether it's hatha yoga or whatever means necessary. But there are definitely some guidelines that we follow, one of which is being a vegetarian. And in India, being a vegetarian, we were just talking, this got brought up yesterday. Being a vegetarian means also not consuming eggs.
Yeah, that's classified as meat, not as dairy.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows from the West. It's a new concept, I know, for us over here.
Yeah, but making sure that if you're a vegetarian, you're avoiding eggs as well. In the West, we're also avoiding dairy products. However, in the East, it's a little bit of a different story because of the way cows are revered and worshipped as Shiva. And so, and plus the way that we go about in receiving or accepting the milk from the cow is first the calf gets to receive all of its milk, all of its daily nutrients, and then only at that point, if there's any leftover milk, that's when you take that milk. So, but I know I'm veering a little bit farther away from yogic diet in general, but there are some interesting guidelines, whether you're in the West or East, and that's I know it's brought a little bit of confusion sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's good that you're bringing this up, because a lot of people also have this as a gray zone. And for those of you guys, again, it matters your context, but if you truly are looking to live and follow a value of non-violence, which we're going to get into in this podcast as a very core value of a yogic diet, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But if you're looking for that goal as part of your yogic path or as part of your dharmic path in general, your spiritual path, especially, I should actually say, if you are at all interested in spiritual growth, this is a very essential factor to follow in your diet is nonviolence, a component of nonviolence. And so why Jita's bringing this up, we have a lot of people like in confusion about if they should have dairy or not. It absolutely depends on if you have access to a non-violent Goshala milk or not. And I guarantee you probably 99.9% of you don't. So that can kind of be your guiding point. If you, for some rarity, you're able to access, one of I know in Florida, and there's a few places in the US that Hare Krishna has Goshalas that are completely non-violent.
Awesome.
And awesome, but it's rare. It's very hard to find. And even getting it from Florida to California, that's not fresh, and that's also not Sattvic. So you do have to have direct access to it pretty much to be able to access the right qualities of dairy. So do keep that in mind on your path as well. And I think it was a great point to start with vegetarianism because, yes, that's a very key factor in the yogic diet. And should I don't know if we should go into scriptural reference or if I should explain sattva in general and how
explain sattva too, and then we'll build around that, I think.
Yeah. So really actually another you could use as a synonym for the yogic diet is the Saatvik Diet. It's absolutely one and the same. So the Saatvik Diet, which maybe some of you have heard of, is the yogic diet as per the scriptures, as per yogic tradition and philosophy. The Saatvik Diet means your entire diet is not only centered around, for example, in Ayurveda, the diet can be, for the individual, centered around balancing their dosha, their constitution, their imbalances of the body and of the mind, as in a little bit, but it's mainly focused in the imbalances of the body. Whereas Sattvic Diet is based on incorporating imbalances of the mind as well. Why this is so important for a spiritual practitioner is that if you don't have a balanced mind, if your mind is extremely overactive or extremely lazy and full of this stagnation or inertia, you will not be able to access your consciousness, which is the space beyond both body and mind. So in order to practice yoga, you have to be very sattvic in body and mind to be able to access your spirituality, access your consciousness, and overpower the desires of the body and mind, so to speak, which throw us off actually a lot of times, which really overpower our consciousness, sadly. And so that's kind of an overview. Now, I'll just touch on one more context. Sorry, Jita, I'm ranting, but I think this is important to note as a kind of preliminary thing. The Saatvik Diet, so there is 3 doshas of the body, okay? 3 constitutions of human bodies, which can be Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. Okay, Vata is I think I've explained it a bit, but Vata is a very active energy, movement, action, energy, excitement, but also can go ups and downs a lot of emotional ups and downs. Pitta is very organized, leadership consciousness, kind of very assertive, but can be angry, controlling. Kapha is a very loving, mother energy, caring. It's like the energy of the earth, very stable and grounded, but can be prone to laziness and tiredness. So those are the doshas, just in very, very general terms of the body. Now of the mind, there is only 2 doshas, Rajas and Tamas, which are not the same doshas of the body. Rajas and Tamas are similar energies in the sense that Rajas is extremely active energy. It's the energy responsible in the cosmos, in the whole cosmos, for action, movement, happening, life. And tamas is inertia, complete stability, complete lack of movement and grounding. One is not better than the other. Both are necessary. But in the mind, being in either state actually doesn't lead to a sattvic balance. The goal of sattva is exactly that. It's balance, purity. And so you're not supposed to be in too much of a rajasic state, too overactive, too hyperactive, too jittery, not able to sit still, not able to be, always having excessive thoughts in your mind, versus tamas, which is very less energy, tiredness, boredom, and stagnation in its imbalance. And so the goal of the yogic diet is exactly that, to bring rajas and tamas into perfect balance so that you're now in a sattvic state of mind. Does that make sense? I hope that was clear.
I thought you delivered that nicely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the difference between, well, a yogic diet is, as you said, we're focusing mainly on the foods for the body, not necessarily the mind. And so with that, I want to just jump into a couple scriptural references. The first is from the Hatvatata Komadi, and this is in chapter 35, verse 5. Just as waxing a moon gradually dispels darkness, similarly, impurities lying in apana is removed by the practice of yoga, which establishes the moon, which secretes ambrosia in the body of a person who sticks to moderate and wholesome food. So there's a lot in this, and you could literally read this 3-4 times and still probably get something from it. But what I want you to understand is that the body has the ability to secrete bliss and just ooze joy and be overwhelmed with a love for life. And the diet that you can consume can either support this or it can work against this. And the most common way that we experience this in today's world is when people are consuming meat. That type of dense, literally dead flesh energy is being confined within our body, and it's literally on various different levels, whether it's the frequency, the chemical imbalance, the affliction that it has on the microbiome. All of these different components are working against this ambrosia, the amrita, the nectar of immortality that wants to ooze within you, but is being obstructed because of unwholesome food. And so yogic diet at its most base level is designed for you to live in a state of bliss and joy. And so the first thing we need to do is support that environment within our own body.
Yeah, I love that context. It's so true. Wholesome food is an essential part of the Sattvic yogic diet. And what does wholesome really mean? You might be asking or wondering. And the definition of wholesome food, or patya, which within the Ayurvedic framework as well, is defined as food which can digest, assimilate, and eliminate very quickly. Which means you take something, it should be able to easily digest in your body, no issues, no acid reflux, no bloating, assimilate into your body, and then eliminate itself out. So you should feel energized, right? And eliminate itself out through your waste products, either urine or feces. And so you should be able to eliminate it pretty quickly, in a window of like max few hours after you consume something.
There's actual scriptural reference saying that you should not be consuming anything until your last meal has left the body.
And that is how you can prevent disease.
Yeah. And I mean, and this is also why our guru Bhagavan Srinathananda Paramashivam is always talking and encouraging us to be practicing Nirahara Samyama, which is, in maybe layman's term, you could understand it as being liquidarian, being on a liquid diet. But really, this is much more beyond that. It's an initiation into living the lifestyle of a nirahari, living the lifestyle of not just getting your foods and your energy from liquids, but ultimately starting to tap into a different source of energy, which is that of the sun, which is already within us as well. It's Nirahari is more of a transition. I see it more like an on-ramp onto a highway. Yeah. It's not necessarily the highway itself, but it's a really, really long on-ramp, but leading you there, but it's leading you to something even greater, which is tapping into that innate intelligence that we have the ability, much like plants have the ability to take energy from the sun. We have that same intelligence within us, but we need to allow it to open up and flourish within us, and that happens through Nirahara Samyama, and that's the liquid diet. Yeah. Best way to just understand that.
This guy is on day 60 something, right?
Yeah, 62 or something like that.
Of his liquid diet. So this bulky, muscular, growing man has been able to sustain and work out consistently on this liquid diet. So it's been really cool to watch.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, and it's a really fun inner exploration of diving into yourself and just really tuning into your body. I'm sometimes Priscilla is like, "What are you doing?" I'll just be like standing there. She'll say, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing." I'm just tuning in. I'm just tuning in. I just like sometimes I'll just completely tune into my body, notice what's happening. I see, whether it's even right after practicing a few asanas or having a meal, it doesn't matter. What I'm noticing is the presence and awareness in my body. It's like it being injected and infused in a way that I've never experienced before. And I know this is definitely because of the Nirahara Samyama, and I 100% recommend this for anybody. Before we go any further, I'll just plug, go to befoodfree.org if you want to learn more. And that is B, the letter B, food free. So it's not BE, food free. It's B, the letter B, foodfree.org. You can learn a lot more information about Nirahara there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that concept and why this is being brought up right now is because honestly, probably all of you guys have experienced whenever we try to change our diet, our food that we consume from something we're used to or have done our whole life into something new, we face a lot of patterns. We face a lot of attachment to food, and it's kind of shocking. And a lot of us don't talk about it because I think we feel like shame and guilt that but really we know what's going on inside our inner space, how much we are attached to the food we eat, how much we crave things, and how much it affects our emotions when we don't get what we want, when we are eating something we're not used to, and it really changes our moods. And so I think Nirahara is just, if any of you guys are struggling with a transition even into vegetarian diet or a transition into trying to eat healthier, less processed foods, less eating out, all that, Nirahara is a huge breakthrough in general, because the whole point of it is that it takes you beyond your food patterns. So I did Nirahara also the first time about a year ago, and it's crazy how much you realize and transcend and heal patterns you have around food, and realize that you don't need to have those intense emotional attachments to what you're eating. You just want to eat for your body. You want to eat to give your body and mind what it needs, not just give your taste buds what it needs. And Nirahara really aids in that process, because when you take away the component of solid food and chewing, you'll see it's not that thrilling to have anything. And so because that excitement, I think, and that type of engagement is gone, it allows you to just take something for what it is. Take it for its qualities, right? What we call gunas in Sanskrit, so that you're actually just eating something what your body needs, what your mind needs, not just what your taste buds is convincing you of, or your hormonal imbalances is convincing you of, And I think that really aids in the process.
Yeah. Well, no, and also going back to what you said about what wholesome food is, how fast your body can digest it and assimilate it. In Nirahara, the digestion process is already done, right? You just need to put it into your stomach, right? So in that alone, your body it doesn't need to generate as much energy to withdraw all the nutrients from the food and then assimilate it within your body. And so you're saving so much energy just in having it blended up yourself. And then the ability to assimilate the nutrients is so much more simpler. And you know, mixing this into where you're at. A lot of people might feel that whether they want to lose weight, whether they're currently suffering from some sort of illness or disease, Nirahara is a simple way of attacking that and really
clearing.
Yeah. And so what I would say is, even whether you're wanting to lose weight or even just make your body a little bit healthier, to definitely at least try this, because it is by far an incredible experience. And it can be as short as 3 days as well. It could be a short 3-day fast, or it could be something that you can start exploring as well.
But 21 days is a great way to do it, because that's how it's always been set up. And it does, you break patterns in 21 days. We know this even scientifically. 21 days it takes to break a habit or form a new one. So 21 days is great. And I just wanted to mention, like, this is, I know in the health world and just our modern society, there's so many different diets and crazes and techniques to detox. I just want to clarify to you guys that how you've been seeing detox and diet portrayed in our modern society is absolutely not healthy, and it's based on wrong cognitions and concepts. It's based on really what you look like for most people, and weight loss and things like this. And while weight loss can definitely have its place if it's something that it is part of your health journey, but not about your ego, you know, and not about just that you want to like lose weight, you are not going to be able to sustain yourself on on any diet that you do if you don't have the right understanding. It really matters that you're doing it. And I think that's why I love that we're getting to share about this, because when you come from something from a conscious context, that you're doing this for your spirit, you're doing this for your consciousness and your spiritual growth, you'll see that you won't falter so easily. You're not going to stumble and fall so easily, because now you're going to have that powerful understanding driving what you're doing. And then you'll see that, like, when you're starting to make new choices, it starts to feel good. It doesn't feel so hard anymore. You're going to start to rewire yourself, rewire your brain, rewire your body to be able to have what it really wants. And you're going to start to be able to actually hear what your body wants. I think that one important thing to note too is I've been seeing another thing going around of like intuitive eating. Have you been seeing that trend?
I've heard of that. So, intuitive eating coaches I've even seen.
Oh, yeah. So intuitive eating is a big craze right now, which means like basically tune into your body and see what your body wants and eat that. But I wanted to preface that you can't tune into your body if your body is toxified. You have to first detox your body. Only then you can even hear what your body is telling you. This is very important to know, because if I, 4 years ago, would have said, like, let me listen to my body and intuitively eat, I would literally have pizza, cookies, and soda throughout my entire day. That is not what my body is asking for, but I am that out of touch with what my body needs, and my cravings have taken over my consciousness. You understand? So you have to be very careful to first purify your mind and body and consciousness the best that you can. Only then you're going to know what your body's asking for.
I'm surprised that your body is not craving carrots right now.
Actually, I love carrots.
I know, but who sits there in their right mind and says, my body's craving carrots?
Yeah. So you really have, yeah, no, it's true though, right? There's a lot there's a lot of things we don't desire that are still needed and good for us. And that is, I think that's a great point that drives into another component of yogic diet, which is discipline. It is a diet of discipline. It's not just do what feels good. It's about really having discipline with your body and your mind so you can have the ultimate health. Truly.
Yeah.
Right?
And
this guy is my ultimate, I have to be honest, like, I struggle with this still, like, way more, and Drita is totally my guide for this and my what do you call it, like, idol when it comes to discipline of the body with food and with, like, doing anything physical.
Idol.
Yeah. He's so disciplined with, like, being able to stop himself even if he wants something. And it's really cool quality, amazing quality that he has. So I'm learning from him.
Oh, cool.
Piece by piece.
Wow.
I'm getting there. You know?
This was recorded on video and audio. I can just replay this as much as I want the rest of my life.
You can.
Wow.
Go for it.
So what do you want to do? You want to dive further in, or should we
Yeah,
cap it here?
I just have a few notes I jotted down so I could make sure you guys get all the infos that I wanted to give. It was one last thing I wanted to, a few little details I wanted to share. Do you have any last points you want to go into before that?
Well, I think just something really interesting that our guru revealed a few days ago. Arunagiri Yogeshwara, his guru, said if you're ever dealing with any disease or your body is struggling with, he didn't use these words, I'm really paraphrasing, but if your body is ever in a state of dis-ease, he just says, stop eating. Just stop eating. So now, obviously, don't pull this completely out of context, but I think what this is showing is that the masters, the yogic masters, know and understood and even practiced fasting in extreme ways, because when you do fast, it puts your body on almost like it's a most efficient state possible. It's like the body knows, okay, like we gotta be efficient.
Repair.
Yeah, we gotta be efficient. We gotta make sure that everything is functioning properly. So when that food does come in, we're gonna extract it to all of the nutrients to the best of our ability. And so your body just gets into this really high performance state. And even the yogis, even my guru's guru, has passed this on to him. And I can say from my own experience as well, the efficiency and the intelligence that I notice within my body has never been this at this state.
Yeah, I think fasting, that's a whole, I guess we don't have so much time to go into that, but fasting is definitely a part of Hindu, yogic, and just Ayurvedic philosophy as well. Fasting is a very big part of Sanatana Dharma for spiritual purposes. Almost always, it is always spiritual context for fasting. And that also helps, right? That's what I want to share with you guys, that's a game changer. We're not just, you're going to be able to do something so intense as like a dry fast for even 24 hours. The only way you're going to be able to do that sustainably is from a powerful spiritual context, that you're really seeking to reach a higher state or connect to the divine or experience higher states of consciousness within yourself, and that's always there. That spiritual context is always there. So yeah, last thing I wanted to end on, I hope you guys are still with us because this is some juicy details. So as we were kind of mentioning in the beginning, all food has a psychological effect, not just a physical effect. And that is where Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva comes into play, right? And we're, as the Yogic Diet, are aiming for Sattva, the balanced diet. Now, I'm going to give you guys some examples of Sattvic foods and Rajasic foods and tamasic foods. So it'll paint the picture for you guys and give you, I think, a little bit of a roadmap through what you're consuming. So we already kind of talked about vegetarianism. We talked about the quality of your food, being able to digest and assimilate properly, taking food in moderation and making sure it's wholesome for your body, right? I'm just trying to summarize what we covered so far. But now we're just going to go into more details of what particular foods are more Sattvic and those that are not, okay? So Sattvic foods are considered to be actually the taste, which is most, you're going to like this one. The taste which is most Sattvic is considered most Sattvic of all the 6 tastes, or the rasas, is sweetness.
Yes.
is Madhura rasa. So Madhura is considered the most Sattvic taste. So
all you with those sweet tooths out there.
So sweet food is the best, but you have to keep in mind the sweet that you refer to in the West is not what we mean by sweet. A lot of foods are considered sweet you wouldn't even think of, from your mind, but also that we're not talking about like consumption of white sugar or processed sweeteners here, right? There's a big difference between using even coconut sugar, cane sugar, jaggery as a sweetener, or honey versus white sugar, right? And processed sugar. So there's a big difference with that there, you should note. Sweet taste, even rice is considered as a sweet taste, a sweet taste. So it's Madhura rasa, it's that sweet taste, and so even rice is considered. Rice is a very big part of the yogic diet, I should say. Rice is considered very wholesome for your body for multiple reasons, and so that's why you'll see a lot of yogic food is centered around rice, and then of course some mix of cooked vegetables, steamed vegetables, or a bean or a lentil. cooked mix with rice. In general, that's kind of like a really good, very big overview of what a lot of yogic meals entail, is some type of rice or grain and mixed in with a lentil and cooked veggie, and all mixed together. One of the best things, and this is like a secret that you can do, always have all tastes in your meal and mix your food together as much as you can. Our Swamiji also always talks about this, like, is about mixing your food. Why this is because it takes away that same idea that you're eating for the tongue. You don't just, because when you eat something which is only sweet or only salty or only bitter, what happens is you notice, and be aware of this, you'll notice there's an immediate imbalance which happens in you. You start to only want more. There's a complete dissatisfaction which happens in the body because that is an imbalance. So when we combine all the tastes together, mix them as much as we can, and have all the tastes in our meals, we can find that balance much easier, that Sattvic balance much easier. Yeah, so that's a great tip. I think like it's a great way to do it. And we ate that way our whole time in India, and I can tell you, like, I felt damn good.
There's nothing
damn
like,
good.
honestly, eating with your hands, mixing all of your food together, and just really connecting with the food. I feel so blessed to have lived that lifestyle and to still want to live that lifestyle, because I feel like that's the way we should be eating.
Yeah,
so
totally. It's so engaging the whole point, is that you're engaging with what you're doing. You're engaging all the senses. That's always a part of how you should eat also. Part of the, thank you, that's a good point I was probably not going to cover. You're supposed to engage all your senses. All the 5 senses should be engaged when you're consuming food. This also helps you to consume what's wholesome for your body and to not overeat or undereat, to eat the right amount of food. Okay, so another fun fact that is considered Sattvic, and I think a lot of you guys will be excited about this one, is fruits. The most Sattvic foods in the world, fruit. So the whole idea of the raw fruitarian diet, it actually stems from yoga. It actually stems from the Sattvic diet. You absolutely can live purely on fruit alone. Now, of course, this is, again, not all bodies are going to thrive on this diet. And you absolutely have to do it the right way, so don't take that out of context. But yogis for many, many generations have practiced that. So one component of Sattvic diet you can do is mainly eat fruit, or eat fruit as much as possible. Another important thing to note is eating really simple meals, simple cooked meals. Like I said, a simple rice, a simple cooked vegetable like a butternut squash and some kale, just cooked, and rice, or some mung bean dal and rice. So it's very simple meals, and not heavily salted, not heavily spiced. It's like a nice blend of everything. Little bit of spice, maybe a little bit of salt, if not no salt at all. Little bit of sugar or jaggery, and you're good to go. It's a very simple meal. And another big thing, which I know Drita likes a lot more than I do, is a big component of the yogic diet is actually ghee also.
Ghee.
Ghee, but again, you have to keep in mind, if you don't have access to an ahimsa, non-violent source of ghee, don't consume it. It will have an opposite effect on you, because
What is ghee for everyone?
It will be instilling violence. Yes. You want to explain?
Well, ghee is basically just butter if you want to...
Clarified butter.
Yeah, clarified butter if you want to just look at the basics. I mean, if you like putting butter... my dad, growing up, we would put butter on the frying pan and throw anything on the frying pan, and it would taste good because of the butter.
Yeah.
Turns out that... because obviously we realized that probably wasn't the healthiest thing, but it turns out that ghee, clarified butter from an ahimsa cow, is so good for your body. Krishna tells you to be consuming ghee, especially if you're a guy out there and you want to put on muscle mass. Krishna talks about consuming ghee in the Mala Purana, and the importance of having a large amount of ghee in basically almost every meal, it seemed like.
Ghee is like a superfood within Ayurveda and yoga. It's because the reason why is it's a carrier. It's the most powerful carrier of nutrients, which means anything that you consume can now be assimilated into your body much, much better when you consume ghee. Ghee is one of the only foods that you actually are supposed to have daily. You're supposed to consume daily if you have, obviously, the right source. So if you do, all power to you. It's very, very good to use, especially in place of butters and oils. Ghee is an amazing, much healthier source. Even if you're a vegetarian and you're not fully vegan or not interested in that, please do use ghee instead of butter and instead of oil. It is so much better for you. It gives your gut a lot of amazing things, and it's just so good. Super nourishing for your body, and good for all 3 doshas. So it's a very Sattvic option, because when you eat a really heavy oily foods, that's an imbalance of Sattva. So ghee is a great option as well. And then last little tips I wanted to add too for Sattvic Diet, which we have been doing our very, very best to implement this as well. Since Swamiji, our guru, actually said the exact same thing and has instructed our entire spiritual community for this. No eating after sunset. You are not supposed to eat when it is dark. The body, it brings imbalances in the body, and the digestive system struggles because through certain times of the day are the times where our digestive fire, our Agni, is highest. You're supposed to eat your largest meal at noon or around noon. Anywhere between 12 to 3, you should have your largest meal. Your digestive fire is highest then. And your dinner should be light to digest and before it gets dark. Before it gets dark. I know it's tough to do with our modern society, with the way our schedules are, with the way our whole life is set up, but we got to start taking steps to do our best, towards it.
Like you said, we're not perfect with this, but we're definitely working towards that, and I can say from my experience of this. You feel completely, I mean, I don't feel as heavy and just like sluggish and Rajasic or tamasic. And I can just say from my experience, you should seriously, authentically try and apply this to your diet as well.
Yeah, even this one thing, you'll see how much it helps.
Yes.
Seriously.
And at least give it a shot and see how your body reacts and notice what you're feeling.
Yep, biggest meal at noon. So even if you take away anything from this to implement in your life, have your biggest meal at noon. Don't eat heavy dinners and eat before sunset as much as you can. And vegetarian. Vegetarian diet, of course, but that's, I think most of our viewers are vegetarian, not to assume anything, but yeah, take your
Well, if you're not, stop following us then. I'm totally kidding. That was, you know me. I'm just kidding, guys. But you should be seriously looking into a vegetarian diet.
Yes, of course. And last thing we'll end on. Okay, I swear, last thing. I'm just going to give you guys examples of Rajasic foods, heavy Rajasic foods. This is going to be tough for some of you. I know. It's even tough for us. There's foods which you really want to have that are quite Rajasic, which means they're very sharp, pungent foods which can really imbalance, they can cause a lot of acidity in the body. They cause a lot of acidity, heat, redness, inflammation, acne. Those are just some of the physical effects of it. Mental effects are like excess of thoughts. You're not going to be able to meditate. You're going to struggle with silence and stillness. Rajasic foods, tea, coffee, alcohol. Ooh.
1, 2, 3 punch off the bat.
And wait, we have more. Onion, garlic, and heavy spice. Oh, I know. It's so tough. It's so tough. Do your best. Just know that's the quality of these substances. If you take them in moderation. Moderation, as much as you can. Really be cognizant of how you take them. Very much anxiety, nervousness. If you struggle with anxiety, I will be the first to tell you, my diet was more so Rajasic, even after being vegetarian, Rajasic than tamasic. And it had definitely, I can still see how much of an effect it has on me. On the days, if I choose to have coffee, immediately my system is very anxious. Physically, I feel the same sensation I would as if I was having a panic attack. I can feel my chest like tightening. I feel shaky. My thoughts go crazy. Everything. So I can really attest to this. And last, tamasic diet. Foods that are extremely tamasic. They're going to create a lot of lethargy, dullness, and sleepiness. If you struggle with that, if you struggle with oversleeping and laziness, pay attention. fermented foods. Foods that are stored. So they've been like already made, pre-made, stored in a fridge, stored in a can. The things that are heavy to digest, hard to digest, oily foods especially, heavy, greasy, oily foods, and processed and fake foods. So fast foods in general, very tamasic, okay? So those are some defining factors of sattva, rajas, and tamas. I know this was a long one, but I think it's really worthwhile. So I hope that you guys gained something from this. I'm really excited about this podcast. I think it was really full of useful information, though, for you guys, and I really, really hope it can help you on your journey to eating a more Sattvic diet, to living a more wholesome life and diet, and to ultimately increasing your spiritual growth and consciousness through it as the purpose of your diet. So there you go. That's the Yogic Diet.
That's the Yogic Diet, yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Drita, for listening to it. I had a lot to say in this one, but there you go. See, I have the tendency. I go the Rajasic direction. Like, Chatty Cathy.
No, but yes, this was awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. If you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel wherever you're listening to or watching this.
Yeah, and let us know what resources you need. If you want further information on this, if you feel stuck in certain places, I do feel we have a solid ground to help you. So
yeah,
either one of us can help you. Reach out to either of us or on our joint channel.
Absolutely. We're always available to help you out. And
yeah,
just
there we go.
Reach out. That's all you got to do.
Thank you guys so much again. This has been the Anandas on Yoga from the Source podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Nityanandam, everyone.
Nityanandam, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.
Om
Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyade. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavat Sri Nityananda Paramashivam Paduka Paramastu. Om Nityanandam.